Hello and welcome, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you so-called the best settings for Sony Vegas. Now, why so-called the best settings? Because there's no really such thing as the best settings, but the approach that is one of the best, so to speak. And with no more complication, let's just first say this. If you want decent rendering speed at, let's say, Full HD and 60 frames, you should at least have i7, i5 that's overclocked, or AMD octa-core processor that's overclocked as well. Now these three are pretty much the only options that you should consider viable for this, otherwise the rendering times will be pretty slow, unless you can of course deal with it, and then there's no problem. And first thing I would want to say as well is if you go to options and preferences and then go to video, you'll see this thing called GPU acceleration of video processing. Now if you have a decent graphics card, you may want to select it. If not, just disable it, because with this you'll accelerate the GPU effects used by Vegas and make rendering time fast. So you should definitely use it. If your GPU is not as strong, you should just leave it to off. And the amount of RAM should of course be at least 8 gigabytes. Unless the project you're doing is like only HD quality or super definition quality, then it's fine, but for full HD 60 frames, definitely 8 minimum. Of course, more is better. Then after you have your video done and edited, you go to File, Render As, and then you want to go under Sony AVC MVC, and then just choose any of this because we can edit it as we want. Click on Customize Template, and first you should just rename your template to whatever you want. In my case that's 1080p 60 frames. Then of course mark include audio, video format put to AVC, frame size should be the resolution at which the video was recorded at. So if that's Full HD, make sure it's Full HD. If that's HD, make sure that's HD, etc. Allow source to adjust frame size in case you don't know what's the resolution, which you should if you record it. And even if you don't know, you can check it. You can mark this and let that do it for you, but I don't see any point doing that, so I just leave it unchecked. Profile, you will have high, maybe you'll have normal. I really didn't see any difference, so just leave it at high. And trophy coding, the only available codec. Frame rate, again, if you record it at 30, make sure it's 30. If you record it at 60, make sure it's 60. Allow source to adjust frame rate, same as before. If in case you don't know, just check this, but again you should know. So yeah, that's about it. Field order, I tested all these three settings and there was really no difference. Some people say this. I mean, people will agree and disagree on many different things, so if it makes no difference and you see no difference, just leave it as it was default. You can't go wrong there. Pixel aspect ratio, make sure it's 1. Otherwise your video will be, the other option is 1333, I think, 1.333. And in that case your video will not be in the correct aspect ratio. Bitrate, the highest it can go. However, if your computer is not strong enough, around 15 will still be alright, because lower than that, then you can actually start seeing the artifacts on video and the black is like really washed and the colors are not as precise anymore, which I wouldn't recommend if you respect your videos and want to have them as high quality as YouTube can, let's say, give you without buttering the everything. So definitely put that as high as it can go. Number of slices, leave that at 1. And encode mode, as I said before, in case you have a GPU that's strong enough, put it to render using GPU if available, and that way you'll be using your GPU for the accelerated parts where the particles and pretty much the effects used by GPU can be rendered faster, will be rendered by GPU, and others will be rendered by CPU. But if you don't have a strong GPU, I recommend using CPU only. because if the GPU is not strong enough, it will slow down the time and make it longer. So definitely do that. Now if you put it to automatic, the computer might be saying like, oh, that GPU is strong enough and I'll use it, and it's not. So I recommend choosing either CPU only or GPU only, and GPU if available. And enable progressive, don't make sure this is marked, otherwise your video won't be playable because it will render it without some codec part, and yeah, it pretty much will be unplayable. So just leave this checked. Audio, I don't see the point in while lowering the quality, so just put everything as high as it goes, because the difference in file size in the end will be like 100 megabytes at highest, which is not that much considering the whole video will probably be a few gigabytes. So yeah, just leave that as it is. System, in case your GPU is not supported, it will say something like it's not supported. So then you know that your GPU is not supported, and not supported not meaning not strong enough, because it may support it but not being strong enough. But if it doesn't support it, then it's probably not strong enough as well, or it's like some specific, I don't know, series from Nvidia or AMD that aren't supported. So anyway, in case it's not, it'll say it's not. So just so you know. And the project, the only thing you should change here is video rendering quality, which should be set to best. Now with these settings, your video should be on average per 10 minutes around gigabyte and 500 megabytes, and the rendering should take 3.5 minutes longer than your video size, meaning if your video is 10 minutes long, the rendering will take about 30 minutes and 30 seconds, just so you know. And yeah, I said everything I had to say. I hope this helped you, if in case you were looking for that perfect ratio between size and quality, because I've tested this for like literally weeks, and I found this to be the best solution, because the VMW or WMV, I'm not sure, by Microsoft does produce low sizes, does take less to render, but the quality is lower because it doesn't support such high bit rates. And this does support bit rates and is used also for like, it can be used directly to upload on YouTube, which is nice. And if you want to import it in Sony Vegas again, that you'll be able to, because it's also supported by Sony Vegas, because not all codecs are. So all in all, it's, yeah, I think it might be the best way you can render. And that's it. Hope it helped, and see you on next one. IS signing off.